Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Shannon Bellum. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram as Bellum Make. I am Bellum Make Knits here, but Bellum Make on Instagram and Ravelry. I am most active on Instagram, and lately I haven't been all that active, but I'm hoping that'll change as I finish this bad boy and get this. So hey, it's back. If you returning viewers, if you watched last week, I told you you wouldn't see this sweater this week, but yeah, we'll get into it. We'll get into what Martha's wearing in a little bit. First, I have a finished object that I want to talk to you about. I finished the Rocaine pullover. The Rocaine pullover, make sure I get all the details right, is a sweater that was featured in Pom Pom magazine, I think in the autumn of 2016. And I did it as a knit along with Amy Florence of Stranded Dyeworks. And her knit along ended October 31st, and I had about half a sleeve left to do. And if you have watched some of my other episodes, you'll remember that I didn't really enjoy knitting it all that much. I hope I enjoy wearing it. I hope I wear the heck out of it. It grew so much in blocking. The whole entire time that I was knitting it, I was concerned that I was making it too short, a shorter length than what I would be comfortable wearing. But it actually came out quite long. I'm going to put a picture of myself in here. I took it just before the podcast, and because this literally came off the blocking mat this morning. It was finally dry. I don't really like how open the neck is, even with. I modified. She had the pattern asked that you do an I-cord trim. I decided to do a really deep 1x1 rib trim to try to close up the neck, and I know Amy talked about the same thing. I don't remember what she did on hers, but I think this is okay. I think I can deal with it. My sleeves blocked out really long, but it's, you know, it's sort of that look, right? It's a drop shoulder, it's a slouchy knit, and yeah, let's see how much I wear it. The color is blowing out my color balance for my camera. It does it with my iPhone too. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna wear it for very long. Let me tell you about the yarn though, and then I'll probably change it or take it off. The yarn is by the Periwinkle Sheep. It's her Merino DK in the Warm Ewe color. The Warm Ewe is a little local yarn shop in Chatham, New York, upstate New York near Albany. Yeah, it is 100% superwash merino, 225 put up with 100 grams. Wool is spun and made from South America and hand dyed in Albany, New York, which is where the Periwinkle Sheep is. And that's not very far from me. It's about a 2-hour drive from here. I live in northern New Jersey, so very close to the New York State border. Well, New Jersey is a tiny little state. You can drive across New Jersey. You can drive north to south in about 2 hours, and you can drive east to west in about an hour. Yeah, we're a little state. So I'm close to New York City, to the east, and to the north, very close to New York State border, about 20-minute drive to New York State. So anyway, that's me. That's your geography lesson. I know you all came here for that. Sorry. Okay. So moving on. I have some other exciting news. Actually, let me take this off now. I'm wearing a t-shirt that I'll talk about too. It's one of my acquisitions for this week, knitting related acquisition. I just want to get because I'm about to show you another very bright sweater, and I think the two colors will, because one's orange, one's blue, I think they will clash and confuse my camera. So my other exciting news is that I finally released this pattern. Actually, let me slip it on Martha so you can get the full effect. This is, I named it, it's Uncle Vanya's Cardi. And What else can I tell you about it? I finished knitting this sweater in September, and I had, no, it was either, yeah, I think it was September. This pattern sat needing me to release it for about a month beyond what I had intended. I wore it to Indie Untangled over a dress, and it is super cozy and comfortable. The story behind it is that I won yarn from GarnStories. So GarnStories is a German dyer. I won yarn from her, and I told her I wanted DK weight and whatever color she wanted to make. And so she was doing a surprise color dye that week or so, and yeah, this arrived in the mail. I had no idea what color I was getting, and this is what I got. So I got 4 skeins of her DK weight superwash merino, highly speckled. The color name is La Boom. I don't think it's a regular in her shop, though. Who knows? It's a lot of orange and bright purpley pink speckles in it. I don't know how well you're seeing the actual color on screen. It doesn't look so, there's a lot more going on. There's a lot more depth to the color than what you're seeing on screen. So I immediately decided that it needed to be a slouchy cardigan. I searched for a pattern and could not find anything, so I realized that I would probably want to knit my own or make my own pattern. And that's the way I design. I don't make money on my designs. I design for creative outlet and just to, to get what I want. For those, if you're a new viewer, you may not know this, but I am a former fashion designer. I worked on 7th Avenue with a beautiful office looking over 7th Avenue, right down the street from Macy's for many, many years. And I was at the pinnacle of my career. The next step was for me to become an owner. I didn't want to be an owner. I had little kids, my children who are grown adults and living in New York City on their own. They were tiny. They were toddlers. They were young. They were, not barely school age. Like I think my oldest was 5 or so. And yeah, anyway, I quit. I couldn't be an owner. Whatever. It's a long, sad story. I ended up, so now I'm an academic. I quit, went to grad school, got my MFA in studio arts and an MA in counseling. So I do some therapy work as well as a lot of counseling of college age students. That's my expertise. And yeah, so I design only when I need to, or when I feel inspired. So last year I put out a bunch of designs. I did one design a month. And this year I decided to slow down and just do as many as I felt like. And this is probably the last design I will self-publish this year. I do have a work in progress, a shawl design that will probably come out in January or February next year. I don't anticipate, I kind of want to break a little bit of a break from design work, because I have another design which Martha was wearing, which I'll talk to you about. And that is not going to be self-published. That is a design for a yarn company. Anyway, I digress. So when I realized that I really wanted this yarn to be a long slouchy cardigan, I realized also that I was going to probably be short yarn. So I searched for a complementary tonal color and landed on this Countess Ablaze very deep, deep blood red called Vlad, after Dracula or some vampire somewhere. I don't really know the story, but if I give it a minute, I could probably come up with it. Nevertheless, this design has pockets. It's got a little bit of color work here. I wanted to make something that looks sort of like a sword or blood drips coming down. So it's just a very simple pattern. I'll stick a close-up in, and then I put a little dab of color work on the sleeve. It is knit all in one piece, where you raglan sleeves, where you put the stitches on hold and knit the whole body, so top down. Even the trimming, you're knitting the trim as you go. It's a very nice, easy knit, I would say. A lot of stockinette, a lot of, a little bit, there's a sleeve detail, a raglan sleeve detail that has a little bit of, you're moving one stitch over, adding stitches on one side as you're decreasing to give you this cute, this very decorative raglan detail. But yeah, I love it. I just really, really love the way it came out. I think it looks amazing. And I have a straight end of yarn right here, which I'll tuck in. It must be where I changed skeins or something. So yeah, I'm very happy with it. I hope you like it. It is, if you're interested in buying it, it's running at a 20% off through November 14th, which is Wednesday. And in addition, through November 14th, I am donating 100% of proceeds from my shop to Hookerscorner. I don't know if you know the story, but she lived in Paradise, California, which, if you've been following the news, has been completely destroyed by a huge brush fire. It's ironic, a little ironic, because last week I was talking about growing up in California and how my childhood and my teen years and high school years were all about, November was all about Santa Ana winds and brush fires. And there were a number of times that our house came very close to being destroyed. And anyway, I am donating 100% of my proceeds because, again, as I said, I don't make a living off of my designs, and I don't need it to live. It's nice to get reward for the hard work, because this is a lot of work to write a pattern. Designing itself, knitting on the needle and designing, that's really fun. I love it. I don't like pattern writing very much though. That is not so fun, and yeah, it's a lot of work. And anyway, I'm happy to share or to donate all my proceeds. Anything that anyone buys from the shop from now till Wednesday, I am giving to Kathy of Hookerscorner. She's a dyer, an indie dyer. I'm sorry, I didn't finish that story really. She's an indie dyer who lost her home. She lived in Paradise, California, and what a great name too for a town. I'm sorry, it's not really Paradise. It's sad, but anyway, I'm happy to give her everything that I make on my designs for the next few days. And yeah, so just know that if you do buy a pattern, the money is going to Kathy. And you know, by the way, my most popular patterns are my Christmas stockings. I have Christmas stocking patterns. They are the most popular patterns. You would never know it though, because nobody ever makes project pages. That's just how knitters are. Knitting away, not making project pages. Oh well. Sorry, gonna just grab some tea. So yeah, there you go. This is my new design. I'm super excited. So Uncle Vanya's Cardi is what it's called. Yeah, Uncle Vanya, because, oh, I didn't tell that story. So Uncle Vanya was, when I was in grad school, there was a professor who used Uncle Vanya anytime he needed any, you know, a name for, like, when he wanted to have a name to hide behind. So he'd just call himself Uncle Vanya. So I took that secretive pseudonym thing and used it as a nod to him, because he just retired recently and I miss him. And yeah, we always had a good time joking around and stuff. So yeah, I didn't say I'm actually working at the university where I did my grad work. So I got hired right away, right after I graduated. So that was really, really awesome. I got hired part-time, and then 2 years later I was a full-time employee, and I love it. I love being in a university. It's really nice. Okay, gonna derobe Martha and talk about the next almost finished, practically finished, just needs its buttons sweater. So this cardigan, this one is for Long Island Yarn and Farm. sharp-eyed viewers will note that this is sort of a shorter version of Uncle Vanya. And in fact, I did utilize the spec and pattern to make this one. How does that look? How does that look on screen? This is now fully blocked. So last week I showed you it was not blocked. I'm gonna take it off again to show you this up close because this is just so beautiful. The yarn is a speckly yarn. I still have all my bulb markers on because I haven't quite finished writing this pattern, and that's why this is still here. There are two reasons why this is still here. One is that I haven't finished writing the pattern, and the second thing is, I don't think you can see, but I knit one sleeve probably about 5 rows longer than the other sleeve. I didn't even notice until I blocked it. So this sleeve right here is a little too long. So I will be ripping this back. I need to rip back to about here and then reknitting it. So those are, and then I also have to do the buttons on here and of course nip in my ends because all my ends are still loose. And just finish the pattern write-up, which it's like the pattern write-up is about 70% done. The yarn is, so that this design is unnamed. It will be not named by Long Island Yarn and Farm when it gets to them. They will create a name and tell a story about it. And so sadly, she is at Vogue Knitting Live in Minneapolis and this sweater did not make it. I'm so sad about that, but I had a couple setbacks. The sleeve was one. The pattern writing was another. It was just, I just didn't have time. My regular job was cuckoo crazy as it has been lately. And yeah, I couldn't get it off my plate. So I really needed to do, because the specs are related, I needed to finish up the pattern writing for Uncle Vanya in order to write the pattern for this sweater. So this is a much shorter sweater. There are no pockets. It just has this beautiful color work. I designed this to be a 5 skein sweater, and it will be a 5 skein sweater for people who are making the lower half of the size range. The upper half, it'll be a 6 skein sweater. I think for if you're interested in making this, the way to get the pattern is to buy yarn from Long Island Yarn and Farm and request the pattern. She does have an online presence, which I will link in my show notes so you can buy her yarn online. This is the sport weight yarn, her sport weight, which knits up like a DK weight if you compare it to commercial yarn. It is an alpaca merino blend. The purple has a bit of silk in it, so it's really beautiful. And it's got sparkle. It's the beigey color. It's called Champagne, and it has sparkle in it. The purple is called Lavender Denim. It's so gorgeous on. I will put a picture in here of me in the sweater so you can see it. I really, really love it. I'll be putting shell buttons, probably 6 or 7 shell buttons down the front. And oh, that was what I was going to say. To stay at 6 skeins, so 4 skeins of the champagne color, 1 skein of the lavender denim. Higher size ranges will, this is a, I think this is a 42 or 43. I have to spec it. I actually haven't spec'd it yet. So I will be doing that too. If you were higher than that, if you're making a bigger size than that, what I think I'm going to do is write you the option of buying just 1 skein of the purple and a 5th skein of the champagne, and then what you'll do is this trim will be completely champagne, and then the bottom rib and the rib on the cuff will be champagne, and that should let you, by doing it that way, you won't have to buy a 2nd skein of the lavender, because if I didn't do that, you would need 2 skeins of the lavender and 5 skeins, so it would be 7 skeins, and then you'd end up with all this lavender left over, which if you wanted to make a hat or something, perfect amount, but otherwise. So to save you yarn and money, to save, to maximize the yield, that's the reason why I'm going to write the pattern that way. I'm going to lay out the options and then let Tabitha of Long Island Yarn and Farm decide how she wants to play that out. I think everyone appreciates that, including her, in terms of like, no one wants to, a yarn person doesn't really want you to feel cheated or like, you know, the yield was made bigger so that she could sell more. It's not about that. Like, everyone wants the knitter to be happy, including me, her, all you. We all want you to be happy. So yeah, I am so thrilled with this. Oh my gosh, that just reminded me of something I'm going to circle back to in a sec. But yeah, I'm super happy with it. Look at that pattern. It just looks so pretty. It just came out so great. It looks so good with the little bit of sparkle coming through. Yeah, and I think it would be really cool reversed too. If you're not really into sparkle, having a little bit of sparkle down and just where the purple is, if you made that a sparkle yarn and made this not sparkle, I think that would be really nice. So, all right, Martha, redress you for the third or fourth time. I just keep a white t-shirt on her usually just because I'm, when I wear sweaters, they are usually worn over at least a t-shirt. So this way I get a real fit. She's my size. She's all specced out and decked out to be my size. I had to both lower her bust line and pad it out, but it worked. That's the secret to getting a standard. So like this, she's a standard 12, but she's not really a standard 12 because I padded her up. That's the secret though, is to pad up your fit form if you decide to ever buy a dress form for whatever, for, you know, for display, or for, if you want it to be your size, you pad it up. I made sure that all the vertical measurements were mine, and like, so from her shoulder to her armpit, that's my measurement. Her small back is my measurement. All of that, like all the vertical were my measurements. And then I padded it for the horizontal measurements. But I really just needed to work on the bust line. The rest of it is fine. Now, when I got her, it wasn't. I was heavier. I weighed more. I lost weight. Wow, I'm kind of rambling today. Okay. That's my announcement about the pattern and about Hookerscorner. If you don't want to buy one of my patterns to donate, you can donate directly to her. There's stuff on Instagram about it, which I'll put a link in for somebody started a GoFundMe, so I'll put that in the show notes too, and you can just go right there and donate. I already did that too. I just wanted to do a little something extra. It felt weird publishing a pattern and asking you to spend money on the pattern without doing something for someone who needs so much. She has 2 little kids, and yeah. Okay, works in progress. Besides, there's always time for knitting, even if I have to do pattern writing and grading papers and all that. There's always time for knitting. So I continued doing some work on my Elton cardigan. And I'll flash a picture on here on screen. This is a Hohi Locatelli pattern. I am currently in on the sleeve with this. So I've completely finished the body. Oh, let me put it on Martha. Okay, Martha, here you go. And then I can talk about the yarn as she wears it. So this is a gorgeous gradient. And I just spilled the yarn all over my floor. Actually, I was meaning to do this, so this is good. Hi, everyone. This is good. So I anticipate this growing a bit. This has a, this is a drop shoulder pattern, and it is, sorry, I just needed to grab my yarn back. I have used a gradient yarn pack that I got from Varbitt. Here's the ball band. There you go. So Varbitt is a yarn dyer and yarn shop in Oslo, Norway. So it's Norwegian wool. I ordered it online. So I had seen this yarn on Ellie of Skeined Your Knits. I had seen it on her podcast and I immediately obsessed about it. I especially obsessed about the mohair. So the mohair, so this is you alternate stripes of wool with mohair, and the mohair is a gradient on the skein. So you see how it's lighter on the outside and darker on the inside. This skein has been used. I pulled from the outside to finish out the bottom. I had 2 skeins of this, so this is what I've got left. This is plenty. It doesn't look like a lot, but it's plenty. I have a little stitch marker on there for to just let my notify myself, which I'm getting close to, when I wanted to just save half the dark for the other sleeve. So when I get sorry, my cat is like being a weirdo. Every time I get to podcast, he turns into a weirdo. I will stop it. Stop it. Ruru. No, sweet thing. I will be snipping the mohair off of this sleeve and moving over to that sleeve so that, and to catch it up to it. So I am making sure, stop it. Shh. I'll be making sure that I am utilizing the gradient well. That's what happens when you have just one skein left. The rest of it, the wools, as I said, it was a gradient 4-pack. And these are them right here in order. So that's my 4-pack. They were, sum total, I had about 800 yards of the wool in 4 different shades of blue. And it's a tonal natural indigo dyed 4-pack. So, and I intend to do a gradient band down the front as well. I have plenty of yarn. Look at all the yarn I have left. And I'm following the pattern. I didn't make any modifications. I think I maybe made it a little bit longer than Hohi did, but I did my rib trim, the length that she suggested. I'm intending to make the sleeves long because she made them about forearm length, about to here, just below the crook of her elbow. I'm gonna knit them all the way to the bottom, all the way to the wrist, because I would prefer to pull my sleeves up rather than like have a bracelet, because if it's cold out, the last thing I want is a 3/4 sleeve. And I have a feeling this is going to be a sneaky warm sweater. So yeah, there you go. You get the full effect of the gradient there. What I did was 5 stripes of each shade of blue until I got to the lightest blue, and then I did 3 stripes, and then this amount, this is 8 rows, which would account for the 2 other stripes. So I should have used all of them equally. Yeah. I think I'm gonna get a lot more length once it blocks, because I think that mohair will stretch out a bit. So, but yeah, there we go. That's this work in progress has gotten quite a lot of attention. And besides doing that this week, I spent a lot of time swatching. So I swatched up some of the new yarns that I had recently got at Rhinebeck, and I did a lot of that. I'm not going to show you all of that because that will be so that'll take a while, and I'll show you as I cast on. So I have a bunch of new cast-ons in mind. As soon as I get some of these other things off my plate, mainly that Long Island Yarn and Farm cardigan, that's got to get out the door. I'm hoping to finish up all the work that I need to do on that today, so that it will go out the door and it'll be in her hands by Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. So I have one other cast on though. Out of all my swatching, I did cast on one thing, and this I blame Kristy Glass Knits for this because I've been planning to do her Clinton Hill Cashmere knit along, which will start January 1, and I'm actually gonna make this. I'm gonna do the Long Island Yarn and Farm pattern in my Clinton Hill Cashmere, and I'm going to do black here and white here finishing with at least a black stripe, if not all black rib. I think I'm probably going to do all black rib on both the bottom and the cuff. So that's my plan for that knit along. I just need to purchase the yarn, which I'll do soon. I have a while. So she snuck in a new knit along and I wasn't going to do it. I said to myself, it's a Christmas sweater knit along. So I told myself, look, if I could find a pattern that I liked and use yarn in my stash, I would do it. So I did a little stash dive. I knew I had a whole bunch of Christmas fingering weight yarn, and I had, you know, I'm not against holding 2 strands of fingering weight together to make a DK weight. So I looked at patterns, went through my yarn, did a little swatching, and landed on what I think is the right combo. So I'm gonna see how it goes. It's a fingering weight pullover, and yeah, let me tell you about it. So first, the pattern is this one right here. It's called Tree Yoke. This is designed by, I want to say she's Swedish. Wait, it'll say. This is, so I bought the pattern. It is, Shetland. She's born and raised in Shetland. She's 16, a 16-year-old. And she's been knitting for as long as she remembered, but she said she really got into it when 3 years ago and started a school knitting group. And of course the teachers are very supportive. So I loved that. The pattern, I think she submitted it for publication with, I don't even know who, but right now it's just one size. So it's a 42-inch, she says 42 to 45 inches around the chest, which, but, you know, that's perfect for me. Like, that gives me probably about 5, oh, it depends on where it lands, but somewhere between 3 to 6 inches of ease on my bust. So I was like, yeah, I can do that size. So if you see the trees, she designed this to be 2 colors. I decided that I would make it 3 colors. Hers is gray and gold. I'll pop a picture on so you can see her colors. So I decided to do 3. So I am doing the gray color as my yoke, as she did. This is First Frost by Amy of Stranded Dyeworks. I bought this last year, so all these yarns I had bought last year, last Christmas. This, I'm using this beautiful jewelry toned color from Lavender Lune Yarn Company, and it is called Holly Drama. And my Christmases have been full of drama, so I had to buy this. I think I bought this like maybe a week ahead of Christmas last year because I was planning to maybe do a cast on with it, but I ended up not doing anything with it. And my third color is this color right here. This is an one-of-a-kind color from Twisted Finch, and it is a non-superwash yarn. I have 2 skeins of this. I bought it in a shop update that he had. I mean, he's a very small yarn dyer, like small production yarn dyer, and his shop updates are randomly whatever here and there, and I just really love his color sense. He tends to go more with moody colors. So anyway, I have several skeins of his yarn in my stash. I particularly love his gold color, which I think is called Sky. I think he lives in Scotland or northern part of England. So all of those together, now this is just for color. This really isn't for pattern because I just kind of did a little swatch. They're gonna knit up like this. Isn't that gorgeous? Camera's like focusing on my t-shirt. So yeah, that's my plan. So those trees will be the jewel tone reds, and then the here, there'll be those reds, and the body will be green, that moody green with lavender speckles and those deep dark green speckles. Stop focusing on, there we go. See the lavender? It's so pretty. So I am super excited about this, and it's such a mindless knit because it's just a whole lot of stockinette in the round. So there you go. There's my progress. I've got my neck going, and there's no color patterning until I get about 4 inches in. So yeah, it's a little 2x2. I did add in some short rows across the back neck to raise it because she didn't have any. You can really see that in the picture. She had no short row shaping, so I just went ahead and did that because I don't want my back neck to be lower than my front neck. I may add more again, like when I get past the colorwork section. I'm gonna see how it looks on the form. I may add some more short rows across the back just to raise it up a little bit more. I have my Ritual Dye hand progress keeper right there, and I am using, I can't remember where I got this, Sweet Cherry Designs, I think. My pink taco, I just loved it. I just loved it. Because if you do emojis, you know exactly what the taco is a euphemism for, and it was pink. I had to have it. Okay. So that is my new cast on that has been getting a little bit of attention and love this weekend. So yeah, and then I have a couple others. I think I swatched 3 other patterns, and I have the yarn caked and ready to go. I just need to get this off the needles and finish up that writing, and then I'll have some. So next week I should have at least one more, I suspect at least one more new cast on to share with you. This weekend I was watching a lot of podcasts and video vlogs, whatever you want to call them, and I found myself getting kind of annoyed by the oh, look at my yarn, isn't it gorgeous, and look at it in my design, isn't it wonderful, my design is awesome, my yarn is awesome, and you should buy my yarn to make my design. As well as, look at my yarn, I only knit with my yarn, we don't really knit with anyone else's yarn in this house, it's just my yarn. And I was like thinking to myself, wow, I really hope I don't sound like that. I really hope I don't sound like that when I'm like, look at my design, isn't it gorgeous? You should make this design. Make whatever you want. I really try hard to diversify the things that you're seeing here. Because I don't want, I mean, it's boring. Like, all I was thinking as the ones were like, we only knit with our yarn. All I was thinking was, not gonna watch you very much because I'm interested in lots of yarns and lots of stuff. And it's not that interesting to me to see like yet another zwag by Caitlin Hunter made out of yet another indie dyed yarn. It's a saturated market, it's a saturated market for designers, it's a saturated market for indie dyers, it's a saturated market for anyone who's making yarn, and knitters knit slow. We don't produce a lot. Even, I knit a lot, and I can make a sweater in 2 weeks if I am focused and monogamous, if I'm a monogamous knitter. I think having lots of choice is awesome. Like, it's great for the consumer, and I'm happy to add to your choices. Really, really happy to add to your choices. But it's probably one of the main reasons why I realized, this leads me to something else that I really have realized about myself, about my own like production of artwork. Because I make jewelry, I'm a metal sculptor. Like, that's probably, like, if you ask me what my art is, I would say to you I make metal sculpture. Because that's really what I enjoy doing. It's a very physical job to make metal sculpture, and it involves a torch and a hammer and a forge, and I love it. I would be very happy working in a forge all day. every day. As long as I could knit at night, I think I'd be happy. So I realized a long time ago that I don't have the drive to take away from my creative output time to market myself. And so I learned, you know, that if I didn't do that, if I wasn't willing to market myself, I couldn't afford to pay anyone else to market me, and therefore no marketing would happen, and that I was unlikely to ever be able to make a living from my art. But that's okay, because I make a living. I have a career in academia, and that's how I make my living, and it pays for my health insurance and pays my bills, and I live comfortably, and it's a nice life. And I have time for creative pursuits like metal sculpture when I'm driven, desiring to make metal pieces, and to make jewelry if I feel like that. My jewelry tends to be very sculptural, as you can imagine, and to make knitting patterns too. So I admire people who have the drive to market their creative stuff, and I accept that that's not me. I'm not ever gonna do that. I will probably never be a creative name unless it happens organically. So having said all of that, I am thinking about writing a book about knitting. I have a couple ideas, and it's something very easy. I would get it would be like kind of a double win, because I would get recognition at work in academia for publishing a book, as well as recognition in the knitting community. So that would be cool. I would like that. But again, like I'm not a marketer, and I refuse to take time away from my creative pursuits to market myself. So yeah, that's my spiel. That's my tangent. So that leaves me with acquisitions. I got, and this is a Knitting is Metal t-shirt. I just love this. You can see it says Knitting is Metal. It is based on tarot cards, which if you're a returning viewer, you know I like tarot cards. I got my first tarot deck when I was 13, so I'm 53, so that was 40 years ago. And I think I have about 6 or 7 decks. I've just sort of, I like them. They're fun. They're cool to look at. They're beautiful. Mostly, like the artwork on them is gorgeous. So I really love this. And you know my love of Halloween iconography, like skulls and bats and all of those sort of icons of the dark, so to speak. I just like them. I think that they're cool. So yeah, I had to have this. I had to have the death card knitting. I thought it was really beautiful. And she made a second tarot card. This is based on the 3 of Swords, if you know your tarot. And it's, yeah, 3 knitting needles stabbed through a yarn heart. It's a rather traumatic, sad card. It means suffering, usually, or heartache. Well, death is all about transformation. So it's like a butterfly. That's what the death card is. You're a caterpillar about to be a butterfly. So it's actually kind of a beautiful card. So I got those 2 t-shirts, so happy with them. She does limited amounts of screen printing, and you never know when she's going to be completely sold out. So, but I really, really love it. And if you're in England, I think Countess Ablaze is selling her t-shirts, so you can get them from Countess Ablaze without having to pay international shipping. So that's kind of cool. In fact, when Countess Ablaze got this, Knitting is Metal here in the States was sold out, and I was like, should I get one from Countess Ablaze? I really, really want one. So I ended up waiting, and I'm glad I did, because then I could just buy direct. So besides that, I did get a skein of yarn. I had bought Stitch Together Studios Sugar Skull kit. So it's a hat kit. this yarn, how gorgeous. Like, this woman speckles like nobody else, I swear. I love her speckles. You can't even see, but there is a silver stellina running through this yarn too. And I have a shortage of hats. Like, I can't seem to make a good hat. I'm kind of winged it with some hat patterns lately, and I did better than following a pattern. I don't know if my head is small, or I don't know. I don't know what the story is. So I do have one hat that I can wear. It's gold though, so it doesn't go with all of my coats. Being a fashion industry person, I love coats. I have a coat collection. I've always had a coat collection. I think I have about 15 coats because I love coats. I don't know why. I've just always loved coats and shoes. Have been my thing. I have a ton of shoes as well. And knits, of course. Knits are my first love. So yeah, this is going to be a hat. This is destined to be a hat. So the rest of the kit included a pom-pom. So this gorgeous multicolor pom-pom with the snap. So I don't have a pom-pom hat, so I'm kind of excited about that. And it came with sugar skull progress keepers and stitch markers that are cute and sparkly, and you're not going to see it because the camera wants to focus on my face. There you go. I think those are glow-in-the-dark eyes. And so that's my stitch marker. Or sorry, my progress keeper, and these are stitch markers just with little jump rings. Wait, I think I gotta show you one at a time. I think I can't remember which ones have glow in the dark eyeballs. This one looks like it's glow in the dark. And a yellow one too. Yeah, this is just black speckly eyeballs. But, oh, so excited. And for me, these are year-round. Skulls and bats and witch hats and witch iconography. That's year-round for me because I love it so much. And she also included one of these, which I think she works with whoever the manufacturer is and designs her own scents. So this one is based on Day of the Dead scents. So I think it's got like blood orange and I don't remember what else, but I remember blood orange being the main scent, but it smells amazing. So it's just a solid lotion. Delicious. I think that might be it for me today. So not such a long episode. Well, no, it's my norm. It's my norm. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it wasn't too rambly. And if you liked what you saw, and please hit the thumbs up. That helps me get more eyeballs on my channel. My channel's still quite small, and I super appreciate Caroline of Dunder Knits doing a shout out for me on her podcast a couple weeks ago. I think a lot of you found me from her. She's adorable and funny, and I do enjoy her sense of humor. Anyway, thank you so much. Please like and subscribe if you are not already a subscriber. I completely appreciate, you know, your attention here. If you have any comments about the content, please comment below. I read every comment and comment back. It's completely manageable for me at this point because there aren't a lot of comments usually. And thank you for spending time with me this week. Hope you have a wonderful week, and I will see you next time. Bye.